welcome to Raised in Alaska. Generally, I take you along on my adventures, but I'm not always opposed to hijacking someone else's adventure. And so, I'm hijacking someone else's adventure today. And I think it should be interesting. The gentleman I'm going with has a remote cabin that he's built. It's way off the grid. 10 miles, 15 miles off the road system. And they've hauled everything in by sled during the winter time and then constructed it in the winter time and also in the spring, pretty much only when you can get a snow machine in there, because you can't really get in there much during the summer. Although last summer we did make it in. I took my Argo and they took 2 4-wheelers in. We didn't really think you'd be able to get there by 4-wheeler because generally speaking it's just a big giant swamp all the way out there. But last year was a super dry summer, so by the end of summer they were able to get their 4-wheelers in there, which is quite rare. And so they constructed this over the course of 2 winters. And so I have a video before when we looked at it, and they had the walls up, the windows in. They put insulation in the walls and just put plastic over the insulation. It was black plastic even. And so it would be curious to see, we're most of the way through this winter, and so I'm real curious to see what the cabin looks like now. But today's adventure, part of it is getting out to the cabin, but that shouldn't be a problem, except he's bringing along a sled full of stuff that's probably at least 5 feet tall and only 2 feet wide on the bottom, 2.5 feet wide on the bottom, 5.5 feet tall or whatever. When you see it, you're gonna laugh. It looks like you could just push it over with your hand. And so we're gonna have to go out real easy and slow and make sure that we don't tip that thing one way or the other. I think it's gonna go over. I don't really know all that's in there. It's tarped right now. I gotta look at the outside of it. I think there's a queen bed mattress in there, he said, and maybe some cabinets. I don't know what else. And so I'm just going along for the fun. I'm gonna pull my sled as well, but he packed this whole sled up and put it on his trailer and got it all ratchet strapped and tarped and everything, so you can't see what's under it. So he's got all of his stuff in there, so he doesn't really need my sled. So I'll throw a couple things in my sled, my sleeping bag, and I'll go light compared to a normal camping trip because I'm not gonna have to take my tent. I won't have to take my wood stove. I'm not gonna have to take firewood. I'll just have to basically take a sleeping bag and some cooking stuff and a cooler. And so it'll be an easy trip for me. It's gonna be a white knuckler for him, I think, though. So we made it all in one piece, upright. Didn't tip over one time, which surprises me.
They've made a lot of progress on this cabin since I was here last. They have walls up, part of the ceiling is up, and notice that nice French staircase. That thing is cool.
Not nearly the day-to-day that it was yesterday. Kind of cloudy, icky, flat light, windy. Beautiful country though. Lots and lots of spruce beetle kill. That's the spruce trees like this one there that's just dead. That's where beetles. So here's the beginnings of another cabin. So you got 3 walls up. And here's the lid for it. It's kind of buried in snow. You can see this cabin. Pretty hefty beams there. Lots of 2x6s, and it's built on pilings. It'll be awesome someday. Probably a year or 2 away. Well, before I go today, I'm going to cut a little bit of firewood for the cabin. He's in the process of putting in a new window, and so instead of having to stop to cut firewood because we're almost out of firewood, I said I would cut firewood before I leave. And so we'll cut a load of firewood and take back. It's always nice, you know, when you go somewhere, if you can leave more than you used when you were there. I think it's kind of the polite thing to do. Well, that's a start. I'm just pretty much looking for dead spruce that's blown over because it's easy and it's already dried and cured and it's ready to burn. So I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to find another 1 or 2. One I'm going to go for, but I want to make sure I have a track in and out. I think I can come right down to the bottom here, and I can go right across the top of that ridge to get to it. But you don't want to go somewhere and not be able to get out. That would blow. And so you can see that log up there, but to get to it I'd have to go through the brush, and brush like that ends up holding up snow, and when it collapses you're left high and dry. So I'm going to find something different. Okay, here's one that I think I can drive right up to. This is really what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's not bad. As with most trees, the closer you get to the top, the more branches they are. And so I'm just going to take it from about there down because there's less branches to have to cut and deal with, which means less knots and it'll be easier to split. This is the piece I've been looking for the whole time. Alright, the sun came out today. It's looking gorgeous finally. Just getting ready to hit the trail. Well, that was a pretty fun little weekend. We actually got a lot of work done. We put in an outside porch light. We put in a chandelier that's in the cabin. He's in the middle of putting in a window in the bedroom. We kind of saw a little bit of that when we toured the cabin there. And then of course I chopped a little firewood before I left. It's kind of a quick turnaround. I came out yesterday, spent the night, and heading back now. But all in all, I would say that was a very successful, fun trip. So there's a little bit left here. We got a few miles to get out, and then the parking lot should just be an absolute cluster. And so I'll take you for a lap around the parking lot just to see. There's going to be a bazillion people there. This is a super popular place to go snow machining. There's a lot of cabins out here, so there's lots of people out here riding. So I'll get back on the trail here, show you a little bit more trail, and then the parking lot.